We either win this for humanity or our species is extinct. So we've got to embrace this. And I want you to understand the pretext. And for those of you that have been following along for a while, you understand what militarized public health looks like. That's how we got here. Lo and behold, militarized environmentalism is here. We just found in the Federal Register, Melissa, if you could bring it up, the DOD and EPA now apparently are one, effectively, at least as it regards to water. So we were all concerned, how are they going to shut off the water supply? Because we knew that was coming. Well, here it is. They are now regulating water in such a way, with such a broad description, that I joke, but I'm only half joking, that you could determine that this regulation of water goes right up to the stream of urine leaving your body. I kid you not. And so what you have effectively is the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, who's got the DOD as their thugs. The Army Corps of Engineers et al. Are going to enforce EPA edicts and jurisdiction, which is all sources of water whatsoever. I'm not sure it extends inside of your body, but water that leaves your body, that's fair game. So it makes sense then why it is that we see graphene oxide is now going to go in the water supply. Melissa, if you wouldn't mind bringing that up, the UK's moving that way right now.
So I've only got 3 minutes, so I'm just going to be quick on this one. A company's just won a contract to put graphene oxide into our water, which is extremely cancerous because it's all new technology. So let's get into this. So these are the effects of graphene oxide on your body. Please pause it and have a read. Yeah?
God bless that guy. It takes one. That's the thing, you brother. I don't know who you are. I hope we can find out. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, there's a really interesting expose article. If you haven't seen it, Expose does a great job of bringing information out. It is a battery upon you. You are being irradiated. You're being harmed.
The name of this presentation is Transhumanist Crypto Mining and Weaponized Bacteria Using the Wireless Body Area Network. So we're going to be going through these slides relatively quickly. This is like a crash course. We've got bigger pieces of information on our website and presentations where we go more in depth, but we're going to fly through some really big info quickly in the beginning of this. So we'll go to slide 2, and this is where I'd like to begin. If you were to just go to Google and type in emerging technologies, this is going to help you understand the names that they're putting all of this stuff under. They're calling it emerging technologies. And they actually boast about what it really is. Right there on Wikipedia on the right side, you'll see emerging technologies is transhumanism. Okay. And then on the left, you'll see that they classify the different examples of their transhumanism, the examples of emerging technology. So that's where all your stuff is. That's your gene therapy, your nanotechnology, your stem cell therapy, your AI, and then also distributed ledger technology. That's also cryptocurrency right there as well. So with that in mind, let's go to slide 3. We're going to walk you through the story. We're putting all of this together as tightly as we can. So here's our background summary. Emerging technology and the control grid. So they have established a control grid that consists of emerging technology or transhumanism that connects human bodies to the internet and also to an autonomous weapons system. This is being done by a $1 trillion industry under the IEEE, which is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, with millions of engineers, scientists, chemists, and biomedical engineers working over the decades that have published countless white papers documenting the advancement and deployment of these emerging technologies, which have been deployed on humans without their knowledge or consent. This control grid overrides and violates every human right, every law, and every local government and constitution of every country in the world. And it's what I believe, or we believe, the Bible refers to as the beast in the end times. Go to slide 4. Continuing with that background, we're going to tell you about the biofield, biosensors, and the wireless body area network known as WBAN. So our human bodies are electrical. It's how God made us. Our hearts are electrical, our brains are electrical, human bodies are on the electromagnetic spectrum. The electrical field around the human body is called the biofield. Knowledge of the biofield was taken away from humanity through the Flexner Report in 1910 and replaced with the satanic medical industry created by John Rockefeller. The human biofield has been hijacked by the emerging technologies industry. So since 1956, biosensors have been put into people's bodies and their environment. Some of these biosensors are partially made up out of your DNA. They then use these biosensors to run computer networking through human bodies. This is called the Wireless Body Area Network, or the W-band, which was created in 1995. The W-band uses various forms of nanotechnology to operate. The nano.gov website shows nanotechnology used by the Wireless Body Area Network going back to the 4th century. So this is an ancient plan that goes back to the seed war in the Bible. Slide 5.
Okay, so on slide 5, this is the background summary dealing with the system upgrade, metamaterials, and graphene injections. And so the last 4 years of COVID have been a massive project to get everyone tracked and traced in their upgraded system. Now, while this technology has been in development for decades, it wasn't working well enough. They needed to upgrade the system to go from dial-up to broadband on the entire network. So in 2017, the infrastructure for the upgraded system was laid out and all the emergent technologies were put into place. The satellites went up at this time, the 5G towers went up, and lots of small nanomaterials known as metamaterials were put into place. Now, no one even noticed in the normal world, but in the industry, everyone knew about it, and hundreds of thousands of papers and technology patents were created around this new grid infrastructure. It was called the cyber physical backbone, and it was what they considered to be the launch of the 4th industrial revolution. They needed to increase the signal to make their technology work. So they graphinated the population through the COVID injections.
That's what it's for.
The graphene was the load balancing on the new upgraded system. Load balancing is basically the plan to test a new network or installation. Their upgrade is complete, and there are all sorts of things that they can do to people. And now what you see on the left is a professor, one of many, one of probably 500,000 in this field or set of fields that are engaging in this technology, given a seminar. Now, we pulled this off of YouTube, and he has quite a few on YouTube.
He's one of the leaders in the industry.
He is one. Undoubtedly, he talks about his resume quite a bit, and he is one of the leaders in the industry dealing with nanomaterials and technology, especially things that can be implanted into the body. And he's given a seminar describing a specific type of graphene-based chip that can do communication inside of the body. So Professor Ioannakilidis is the leader in this industry when it comes to the creation of these what he called metamaterials, known as the Internet of Nano Things, the Internet of bio nano things, and the Internet of space things, bodies and behaviors. He also deals with having these nano technologies interface with satellites. So he's engaged in basically all realms dealing with this field of the 4th Industrial Revolution.
So now that we've explained the upgrade, let's go to slide 6. And these are the documents, because there's some people that are saying like, oh, that's not real. It's not really happening. This isn't really moving forward. It's not here yet. So I wanted to bring these very important government movements and documents to your attention. So first, there's a Pentagon directive that was updated in January of 2023. It's DoD Directive 3000.09, which means that all systems are now go on the autonomous weapons system, which will be used on the public. And this wireless body area network is connected to the autonomous weapons system, okay? We've also got the president's 2023 budget, which requests nearly $2 billion for the National Nanotech Initiative, the largest ever request since its inception. And you should read through these. We're going to have a blog post with links to these documents so you can read through them for yourself to see what they're talking about in there, because it's kind of important that you know. And also the executive order that was made in 2022, which calls for advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation. This is what they're calling biodigital convergence. So they've used technology to create a prison system that has control over our bodies, that is hooked up to an electric warfare system. So with that background, let's go to slide 7. And we're going to explain just one aspect of this, because you could go on for hours with each and every avenue that this goes down. But we're going to talk about the wireless body area network. It's what they're using to make cryptocurrency out of human bodies. When you know that, Todd, you've spoken about this a couple of times, so in it, like maybe 1 or 2 slides, so we'd love you to chime in and tell us your findings with the patent 606, 60606, and also the new app that is making cryptocurrency out of heartbeats. But we're just going to explain exactly how they're doing this first, right? So we can see what they're doing. So the wireless body area network is how they access your human body to transmit and receive data. This network also uses your body's electricity to power its nanotech and transmissions. They're using the W-band to make cryptocurrency from your body's energy. In the following slides, we will show you how. Green energy, what they call green energy, is actually Soylent Green energy. They're doing energy harvesting on your body to run a terahertz network. And here's one paper of many papers that talks about energy harvesting. We'll quote from it. Nanoscale wireless networks are expected to revolutionize a variety of domains with significant advances conceivable in in-body healthcare. In healthcare, these nano networks will consist of energy harvesting nano devices passively flowing through the bloodstream, taking actions at certain locations. Body area network nodes, and that comes from this paper below that we found on ResearchGate. It's an IEEE paper. Let's go to slide 8. Let's see. Let's have Tavon cover this.
Okay, so slide 8. We're looking at a basic networking model. It's called the OSI model and how it ties into cryptocurrency. This is a basic network that defines all of your internet that everyone uses, but pretty much takes for granted. So to simplify the way cryptocurrency is made, a building full of supercomputers is using electricity to power those computers and has those computers solve very complex math equations at the fastest speed of light. This is basically the propaganda, the method that's being explained to people who want to get into cryptocurrency and why they should. Now, when these computers solve these equations, it results in a token being generated. You can, with all the different tokens, you got Litecoin, Bitcoin, and all the thousands of different tokens out there now that people like to invest in. Now, this is considered a form of money. And it's claimed that the money is highly encrypted and decentralized and that no government authority is controlling it. And that's why you want to get into it, right? Like you have complete autonomous freedom from the government.
That's what they claim.
If you take part in the platform. In all computer networking, it's utilized by everyone. You have open systems interconnection system, or it's called the OSI model. This is how you route all data through a computer network. Now, if you didn't use this model, the internet simply would not exist. And what you see on the left is the 7 layers of the OSI system, starting from the physical layer at the bottom. That's your router, that's your computer, that's your Fitbit, your hardware that you physically have. Then you work up the layers to the data link layer. This is how the hardware is able to handshake with the network. And then you go up to the higher layers where you're in the network and you can manage all of this from your computer through an application, whether that has internet capability.
So let's go to slide 9.
Hey, let me know when I can jump in, because I want people to see, before you move on from that, I want people to see that patent from Bill Gates. It's Microsoft is the owner. That was granted in 2020, and it specifically says everything that you just said, Tavon, is that it will turn people into both batteries and cloud computing nodes, and the distributed ledger that you just spoke of That's the point. You have computer nodes around the world, 500 or more, that authenticate transactions. So they're using people's body energy to
Yes.
do these calculations, to authenticate in order to produce the tokens. It's exactly what the patent says. And by the way, it's 0-point energy. How and why? Because you put a gigahertz in, you get a terahertz out. No
Yeah.
wonder they want to feed everybody bugs, because it's cheap food for their computers. I'll shut up now.
Exactly.
Thanks. Oh, wait, one more thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Inpersona.com. This exists right now, this
Yeah.
very moment, at the website inpersona.com. Everything you just said, Tavon, is on their front page, and they say, we're going to use your heartbeat to mine crypto. It's actually operational. And we saw this, by the way, in our case in the military, because the 44,000 service members they used for laboratory animals, they were all fitted with this technology. It was an InTouch eDiary, and they were measuring biorhythms in real time as it was happening, changes in their body. So anyway, what I want people to understand is you're not speculating, Tavon. This is here right now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in use right now, and they're doing a lot of testing, we think, but they're going to be adopting this more and more to the point where we get to there's no more buildings with computers making cryptocurrency. They're just only using human bodies.
It's just if you told someone back in 2008 and 2010 why they should get into cryptocurrency, and the final statement you told them was, oh, well, by the way, the system requires it sucks your energy out of your body, would they want to invest?
And the bodies of your loved ones and every human on the planet.
Well, and now you see why there's 14 or so 2-inch copper cables going into the 5G network. That isn't to send energy. That's to suck it out of you.
That's right. That's right. And so just a couple more slides here, because we want to like put the whole thing together to show you. So we showed you those 7 layers of the no, that's great. That's great. We're trying to back up what we've heard you talking about on shows, and show people exactly where it is that the networks connect to human bodies, so that you can see exactly the pathway to how they mine crypto out of human bodies. So on slide 8, we had the OSI 7 layers. So now let's go to slide 9. And these are the networking layers for blockchain, the blockchain model, and they overlap with the OSI model, right? So software developers who are working in the blockchain, they'll be doing things like proof of stake protocols or consensus mechanisms or different ways of trading tokens or gaining blockchain viability. They do these things in one of the layers of the blockchain model. That's the consensus layer, right? Which is right up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's 4 going up from the bottom. Yeah. Right. So here's the layers of the blockchain model that cross over into the layers of the OSI model, because they have to if they're running any kind of routing through any kind of computer network. So they definitely go through the OSI model. All the consensus work is done on blockchain cryptocurrencies. It's done through peer-to-peer networking. Right here, the 3rd layer up, P2P, that's peer-to-peer networking. The consensus layer of blockchain has to use peer-to-peer in order to verify itself. The peer-to-peer layer uses the first 2 layers of the OSI model, which is the physical layer, meaning your body in this case, and the data layer. So remember that they also use DNA for its storage capabilities. So that's where that comes into play. In fact, the majority of the work, all the encryption mechanism for cryptocurrencies, is done at the physical and data layer. The work for this is done through ubiquitous computing, which is a computer science term that refers to computing that is done on any device, in any location, in any format, in contrast to desktop computing. Ubiquitous computing is also where your artificial intelligence is operating. And if you do a simple search, what layer of the OSI model does the wireless body area network run on? You will find that the W-band runs on the 1st and 2nd layers of the OSI. That's your physical layer, your body, your skin, and data layers. So if you go to slide 10, this is an important article that really brings this to light. This is the article is called Turning the Human Body into a Wire. So let's just further explain. Anytime you're using peer-to-peer networking for anything, it uses the data and physical layers of networking, which is where the human body is. Blockchain is using people's physical bodies to transmit data on a wireless body area network. These are all computer networks that we're talking about here. Blockchain is biomimetic, meaning it uses a biological system, our bodies, as models for the designs of materials and machines. Blockchain encryption is done through computer networking, which is going through your body. The reason why they want intra-body galvanic only blockchain, which means using the electricity generated by human bodies, is because of cybersecurity. It's not easily hacked. Also because they're using human bodies as a free energy source, like you said, Todd, to power their crypto mining. No more buildings with computers. And here is a chart from that article where it says in the article, when the human body is the communication channel, it's hard to hack the data. Your body is a smart home.
And mind you, it's secure unless you're the one with the keys.
Unless you own that person, Tavon, right? Because that's the way that the authority rests today. By the way, our case is in front of the Supreme Court today. But to your point, who would own the keys? The owner of that person. That's who.
Yes. Now, if you go to slide 11, we have that talking point right at the end of this. That someone has all the keys to these networks and the Bluetooth codes. Right? And that is part of the autonomous weapon system.
Wow.
So think about that, because it certainly isn't the people that have access to this wireless body area network that can get in there and
your digital ID.
Who has access to that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For all the people that are broadcasting Bluetooth signals now, who has the key? Who has the hardware to decrypt that information that's being transmitted?
And that's part of the reason why they're broadcasting Bluetooth signals. It's part of this network. It's how they can find all their devices running around.
How does this fit? Sorry, guys. How does this fit into Cyber Polygon? You've talked about Cyber Polygon again. Is that not the same thing? The crypto cyber control security thing is all right here, is it not? That's what you're saying?
I'd say so. Yeah, bringing all of this together, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
And this is part of that same article. We're just going to read a quote out of the article. Through our research at Purdue University, we have developed a new method of communication that will keep medical devices, wearables, and any other devices on or near the body more secure than they are using low-power wireless signals to communicate with another. The system capitalizes on the human body's innate ability to conduct tiny, harmless electrical signals to turn the entire body into a wired communication channel. By turning the body into the network, we will make Internet of Body devices more secure. Using the body as the communications channel for the Internet of Body devices avoids the fundamental problems with radiative technologies like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Okay, it's all about Bluetooth by keeping the electrical signals under the skin. And because we developed a system that's low loss at low frequencies, we can send information between devices using far less power.
Well, look at the date that this was written.
November 2020 is when they wrote that article on the IEEE spectrum.
So what's important is that there's already a method to have these devices, at least in their research, to communicate with each other using the body as the medium. But as we know, a couple of months later, once the injections rolled out, everyone's emitting Bluetooth code. But they just said in this paper that was written months earlier that it would be more secure not having that kind of emission.
Well,
so
let me tell you something.
Wi-Fi,
hang on one
Bluetooth
second.
emitted. Yeah.
Sorry, Tavon. Look, man, the clinical trial the military did, C459-1001, used this PCR device, exactly what you're talking about. And you want to talk about signals, they took the biorhythms, the signals, they buried 1,200 deaths and 82% spontaneous abortion rate, amongst other things. They stole the information from the person's body and they sent it through the phone system to Israel, where they erased it, they laundered the data, and then sent it back through that very same system to the DoD, FDA, and Pfizer to say, safe and effective, everything's fine now.
Yeah, it's already been hacked. It's already there. And this is, the point where we were going to say talk about all that stuff, but you already brought it all up.
Exactly.
The patents. It's really backing it up, because I've heard you on shows talking about this, and it's difficult to talk about because there's a lot of deception. There's a lot of gaslighting. There's a lot of obfuscation going on, where people won't just come right out and point to the evidence and the proof that it's already been deployed and say, this is what we're looking at. Yeah. Instead, it's like, oh, no, it's in the future. It's not happening yet. It's not that important. So we really just wanted to come in here and back up the things that you've been saying and hopefully explain it to folks at a basic level so that people can understand it.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
For example, Todd, like all of us who are just discovering this and having to go on our own research on our own path to uncover what's happening, you're overwhelmed with a bunch of emotions and a ton of questions. You have the questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how, and no one is giving you answers. And the more people you ask, those you either gaslit or people just don't know. So what we're trying to do here is at least bring people to getting some of those questions answered, so there's some peace of mind, so that they can go into finding out what they need to do next.
Well, Tavon, this is the other part, and one of the reasons why I love you guys so much is you actually bring solutions to the table. So aside from taking the time to understand this, research it, and make it available to others, God bless you for doing that. So let me just add into that from a conversation I had with Dr. Merritt the other day. She actually did say that. She said that they were using all the way back in the early 2000s these hydras to act as bridges in people's broken spines and whatnot. And she said, yeah, these are in there. We already saw that they were, or components of them. They're effectively alien, creatures' bodies. And that the clots that are developing, the white ones, are amyloid based. So they're effectively synthetic antennas, as I understand it. But the short answer to your question is, she said, red lights work, red light lasers, the blue, methylene blue, but there was something also she called nitrous oxide. And she said that actually really helped her. And she, I think, tested it and found that as it related to the hydras, it destroys them. So these are things that we can further explore. We can perfect these very methods now, and it's a matter of discovering it. I think it's really important that you've identified the most critical parts of it, which is that our bodies have been already hijacked. Who asked me? Who asked you? Nobody. They just hijacked them, and so now this also provides me with a chance to go and start suing people, sue the government, say under what authority, back to the slavery question. So fabulous work.
Yeah. Not only were they hijacked, but then we were never told what they were doing. So nobody knows that this is going on, and that they're like, oh, I feel really tired today. It's because they've been using the energy in your body to power their networks. That's why you feel really tired.
Yes.
And people don't even know. They have no idea.
How did they? Where were these people that invented this crap? You said Purdue; they're obviously there. I mean, why did they keep their mouths shut?
This is just a segment of probably 500,000 or more people who are doing this as their job and are not saying anything. On the heels of an untold number of infants and children who have died because of the injections. I mean, if there's a soldier that's listening to this, I mean, if there's any mission that's worthy of fighting, how about at least for the children of the next generation?
Tavon, that's exactly right. Do you remember there was a phrase or a scene in Jurassic Park, and the bottom line is the scientists never stopped to consider whether they should use the technology. They stood on the shoulders of giants because they didn't earn the technology. They just used somebody else's, and they never stopped to consider what is the effect of it, whether that's this we're talking about right now or the interface with artificial intelligence, because guess what? AI is hooked right into this too. So the question is, who's really in charge? Are we already?
And we have just a couple slides here because we want to get through it before we get to questions.
Sorry, go ahead.
Tavon discovered some stuff about weaponized bacteria that really links into this.
Okay,
and also links into the work we think you've been doing with Lisa McGee as well. So if you go to slide 12.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and so we also want to give a citation to Z Media for interviewing these two
Yay.
people, Dr. David Nixon and the researcher Carl C. And it was a recent one where they did dealing with new nanotechnology findings that will shock the world. So look at that interview. They cover a lot of things they were seeing under the microscope. There's all kinds of research being done under the microscope since the thing that's happened over the last 3 years, and they're finding all kinds of things. And what we're doing here is bringing together things dealing with what bacteria can do, and we're going to tie it into what people in the industry were saying about what they're using bacteria for in the exact same field that we're talking about. Okay, so the question is genetically modified, altered, and patented biofilm. This is the colony in which the bacteria likes to reside and to be protected.
Biofilm.
Is it the workhorse of the synthetic biology and the fourth industrial revolution?
Wow.
And so biofilms are ubiquitous communities of tightly associated bacterium, parasites, and or fungus encased in an extracellular growing self-replicating matrix. It is created by, protects, and sustains the colony. It is thousands of times, and with the bacteria that is inside the biofilm versus a bacteria that is free swimming inside, let's say, interstitial fluid, it's 1,000 times more difficult to destroy these pathogens in the biofilm than the free floating fluid. All of this has been synthesized, and it anchors itself to the surface, and then it starts. The more bacteria start with either multiplication or attracts more bacteria from the area. It forms a colony, and this microcolony creates this biofilm. And this biofilm is where the colony continues to grow until it gets to a certain size, and new bacterium breaks out in all the other pathogens, and the cycle starts over again. And what we are putting forward is, has this process, this natural process, because biofilm is everywhere on the planet, has this process been weaponized at every single step? Has this been the research over the last couple of decades? And I'm just going to go to the next slide.
We have it. And by the way, they have propellers. These little bacterium actually are self-propelled and autonomous.
So we're tying this into what they're seeing under the microscope now with these researchers and professionals. And what we want to show here, this is simply to show the scale of bacteria, where it sits in the micrometer scale. Because when you see what's under the microscope, when it's good footage taken from the person that's being interviewed, they have the scale. Sometimes it's in fractions of a millimeter. Other times it's in the micrometers. We want to show you where bacteria is. It's very small. It's very small. So when you see these structures that are hundreds of micrometers, it's something that can be created by a bacteria. Next slide. Now, what we're about to mention are bullet points. Slide 14. We're about to mention bullet points of what we found during this research for this interview, Todd. And all I got to say is, this is literally 5% of all the PubMed, ResearchGate, all the database papers that we pour through to just basically summarize what we're seeing here. But we gave citation at the back, at the bottom of the presentation, so people can go through it and verify themselves. And this is basically what we found. Bacteria can survive in harsh environments by changing its morphology. It can go from like a spore formation into a rod and then back into a spore again. And by forming these biofilms, it's how it's able to survive in the digestional tract and make its way to the lower intestines. Now, certain bacteria, like the ones that I mentioned here, can create what are called conductive nanowire networks from their cell membrane that can span through far beyond the biofilm layers in which they reside. So it creates nanowires. And it uses these nanowires for communication and for transmitting energy to other cells in the environment. E. coli can be instructed organize self-assembling amyloid-based materials and gold nanoparticles, either by exterior control, meaning you can send it a signal, or by autonomous patterning. You can engineer E. coli to go about and start assembling things, including the amyloid and metallic particles. Such bacteria can be programmed to assemble structures from gold particles.
Wow. And EMF is used to do all this, right?
Yes, EMFs can be used to do that. Gold is just one example. Other papers I read, it was other metals. And if it could do metals, can it do that with graphene?
Mm-hmm.
In the water?
It
Yeah.
yes, or in carbon from CO2. There's a whole paper about Navy taking water and putting this bacteria that's been engineered and taking water and converting it into biofuel. There's your free energy. Bacteria nanowires grown in an electric field have 1,000 times higher electrical conductivity than the ambient. Such wires can take mechanical and chemical interaction and signals and turn it into electrical signals. So this is the ability of the nanowires that are grown from bacteria.
They are the nanowires.
And then this is a quote. This is a quote from one of the research teams at Yale. Bacillus subtilis is the workhorse in industrial biotechnology and well known for its secretion potential. Efficient secretion of recombinant proteins still requires extensive optimization campaigns and screening with activity-based methods. And then it went on, but this is talking about how valuable changing the bacteria, programming the bacteria, using CRISPR to engineer and to store data on and retrieve data from bacteria and it's done all over the world. So then the final thing, various species of cells and bacteria can be attracted to biofilms through electrical.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, then I guess one more question here. There are some people that utilize such things such as muscle testing, like with applied kinesiology, right? That is asking a question to your subconscious. Mm-hmm. So can this WBAN, can it override your subconscious then? And actually be accurate?
Yes, there's something called the Internet of Behaviors, which is a whole thing we could go into. But there's a ton of information about how they can manipulate your mind through the wireless body area network, and they can manipulate behaviors of people. And we think that they're actually using that right now for like different types of crowd control to make movements happen, political splits, and all kinds of stuff. So I think that definitely would fall into